we've gotten some encouraging chatter from the Fed, maybe it's time to circle back to some of the stocks that have been severely punished over the past couple of months, particularly in tech. Consider the case of Qualcomm, the gigantic wireless communications semiconductor play, where the stock is now down 25% from September highs. This stuff is going on right now. Can you believe that? I mean, Qualcomm wasn't exactly expensive before the meltdown, but it's gotten even cheaper. Sells for 13 times 2019's earnings estimates. Company reported 3 weeks ago, but even though the headline numbers were solid, management told a very compelling tale about the rollout of the next generation 5G wireless technology, a huge story that really kicks off next year. The stock got slammed anyway because Qualcomm's guidance for the next quarter was somewhat light, thanks to some lost Apple business. The issue here is very simple. The next few months may be decidedly suboptimal, especially since there seems to be a genuine slowdown in smartphones worldwide. But once we break through to 2019, the 5G story kicks in, and that could have enormous potential. Meanwhile, the stock sports a 4.4% yield, so you're basically being paid to wait. Question is, will it be worth waiting? Let's dig deeper about 5G with Steve Mollenkopf. He's the CEO of Qualcomm. Find out more about how the company's doing, where it's headed. Mr. Mollenkopf, welcome back to Mad Money. Steve, first, I'm so glad you're here because no matter what happens, people keep saying the cavalry is coming, it is 5G. Steve, I don't even know what 5G is going to do or why I need it or what's going to happen with it.
Well, hopefully I can help answer that.
So tell me, will I throw away my phone? What will I do?
Well, I think you're going to see immediately that your phone is going to be faster, and you're going to have more capability coming to you from the carrier. For example, just to put it in perspective, you're going to have 10x the speed, and the carrier is going to be able to deliver that at 1/30th of the price. And so you're going to see a lot of business model evolution, which is why you see the Verizons of the world trying to figure out how they can compete with the wireline carriers. And it's not just in the U.S., it's happening worldwide. The entire cellular industry, starting next year, is going to transition to 5G. They see tremendous benefits, and that's just in the cellular industry. There's a second wave, which will happen about a year or two later, which every industry that cares about getting their things connected to the internet, which is essentially every industry, they're going to be disrupted by 5G as well. So this is the biggest change, I think, to the industry, meaning the cellular industry and the relevancy of its roadmap that I've seen during the 25 years that I've worked at Qualcomm.
All right, now what you just told me makes me feel like that everybody who keeps throwing away all these technology stocks, including yours, that have to do with telco, may be making a big mistake. But is it within our time horizon that it's worth investing in?
Well, for us, it's right on the doorstep. So in 2019, in the spring of 2019, you'll start to see the initial launches here in the United States and actually in Korea. That will flow mid-year to in Europe and then in China in the second half of the year. So worldwide, the entire world is going to transition to 5G. We think it's a big opportunity for us. We think the first mover gets the advantage, and we're going to be it.
Now, what kind of infrastructure will we need all over the world to make this happen? Because I know our system is not ready to handle 5G.
Well, actually it is. If you look at the testing that people have been doing, people have been preparing for this for many years. Certainly we have at Qualcomm, as a number of other big technology companies. They've allocated the spectrum, and now they're installing a number of base stations to enable that. And what the base stations look like now, they're much smaller. They look more like the wireless access point that's in your home and less like the big base station of old. So it's a tremendous amount of activity going on worldwide to deploy these things. We're working with everybody, and there's just a tremendous amount of activity to prepare for it.
Steve, will I still need a cable TV?
In a lot of places in the world, I think you're not going to do that. I mean, if you look at what people are doing, and if they look at their wireline spend and they decompose it into there's a certain amount that I pay for content and a certain amount that I pay for the transport or the connectivity. There's a real opportunity with 5G. The economics are such that the wireless operators can just give you the connectivity piece, and you can bring your over-the-top service. And you're seeing that happening, particularly in the younger generation. They spend much less time on linear TV.
Right.
Now, we are going to provide the technology to enable that to happen. That's just one of probably 30 different industries that will be disrupted by 5G.
Now, we know that you have a dispute with Apple. We know that a lot of people have been selling Apple stock because they don't think that there's anything new on the horizon. Let's just say you're able to work out something, or if you continue to do stuff with Apple, is it possible that there is a whole new iteration of Apples that will be powered by Qualcomm, say, that we might want to upgrade to given the speed that you just mentioned?
Well, I think there's always an opportunity and a risk when you have these big G transitions or the generations of wireless change. It's the opportunity to either be left behind or to make sure that you're part of that new generation. Of course, we work with everybody. We would love to work with Apple. We think there's a great opportunity to do that. We think the people that move quickly to these new generations, they tend to win. If you look at the history of what's happened to the Motorola's and the BlackBerries, the people that embrace the new technology do the best. Of course, we try to provide that to everybody, and there's an opportunity there with every OEM.
Steve, this sounds so transcendent that I want the United States to be number one. Are we going to be able to be number one, or are there other countries that are going to catch us or pass us?
Well, I would tell you, the United States still has a very strong position. We are obviously a big part of that. But this is the first time that I've seen in wireless where there's been so much interest from the governments. And one of the reasons is because in a world where everything is connected to the internet, the things and the companies that connect you to the internet wirelessly, they better be trusted. They better be able to meet the demand. And they want to make sure that their industrial policy, this is the governments, they want to make sure their industrial policy takes that into account. And what's interesting, if you look today, this is the first time, this is the first generation of wireless where the Chinese carriers will launch wireless service in the same calendar year as the American carriers. That never happened before. And it's because it is so important not only to the cellular industry, but to many other industries like automotive or healthcare or the industrial companies. So it's going to be a very transformative change, and it's definitely captured the attention of governments.
All right, one last question. I know you guys are at Apple. Some people say you're talking. Some people say you're not talking. Can you give us a little update? Because I want to buy an Apple 5G phone, and I want it to have Qualcomm in it.
Well, we do too, and of course we do talk as companies, and I think what you're seeing really is activities that are consistent with really the fourth quarter of the game and not the first quarter. And we've always talked about, I've been very consistent, that this year, the second half of this year and into next year is when we're really on the doorstep of finding a resolution, and we don't see anything different than that. And of course, we're working very hard on that as well.
Well, you are the 5G play, you're the 5G person, and I'm so glad you explained it to us because it does sound like we're all going to upgrade, and it's going to be a tidal wave of technological buying, and certainly with the stocks, including Qualcomm. Thank you so much, Steve Mollenkopf, the CEO of Qualcomm. Mad Money's back after the break. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.